Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Beer and Brands. I'm Matt Williams, managing partner at Brand Federation, along with our founder and CEO, Kelly O'Keefe.
Hi everyone.
We are here at a very special Beer and Brands because it's our 1-year anniversary. So we'll be talking more about that in a little while. But today we're coming to you from the amazing and sunlit confines of Three Notched Brewery and Tasting Rooms here in Richmond. And we're here with Scott Roth, the founder and president of Three Notched, who's going to bring in our beers and tell us what we're drinking today. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Thank you guys for having me. Congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you.
It's great. I was told you're a lighter guy.
I am.
So I was going to do local lager, which we have year round, but instead I went with Hellasfest because we're approaching Oktoberfest. So this is a lighter Oktoberfest style lager like you would get, similar
great.
to when you're in Germany in the tent, cheersing and looking at Lederhosen.
I'm going to be picturing that while I'm drinking it.
I hope you do. And you are drinking the brand new gold medal winner for the hazy IPA category in the Virginia Beer Cup. This is King of Clouds. King of Clouds, 7.5% hazy IPA, year-round availability in grocery chains and stores. But figured I would go with the recent medal winner for us.
Heck yeah.
Congratulations on the medal. That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
All right, well, cheers. Thanks, Scott.
Cheers to a good show. I'll be back later.
Sounds good. All right, Kelly, in our continuing effort to make Beer and Brands as practical and applicable as we possibly can for the lovely folks out here in podcast land, we want to focus today's conversation on everybody's favorite thing, PowerPoint presentations. So here's a question for you.
How much do we love them?
How many PowerPoint presentations have you given in your career?
Thousands. Literally
Probably
thousands. Certainly one a week,
Yeah.
50 weeks a year, a lot of years.
Think about it.
Yeah.
25, 30 years of experience with at least one PowerPoint or even better keynote presentation a week. That's a lot of presentations.
It's incredible.
Unfortunately, 90% of the PowerPoint or keynote presentations I've seen, and it's probably true for you, suck.
90% is a low number.
Okay, that's charitable. So maybe it's like 99.
Oh,
They're
there's
bad.
there's a lot of badness out
And
there.
unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, Keynote and PowerPoint have become the kind of default communication mechanism for corporate America. So we have to be good at it.
Yeah.
Okay? And you and I have done a lot of them. I've done some good ones. I've done some not so good ones, as I'm sure you have too. And we've learned some things about how to do them well. So let's talk today about not just giving a good presentation, because we've all been in presentation training and we know those tips.
Yes.
But how do you tell a strategic story in a way that captivates and persuades your audience in the world of Keynote and PowerPoint?
Yeah, it's a great topic. If you get good at this, it becomes a superpower, really, because the whole purpose of making a presentation is to get somebody to say yes to something. That's why you do it. And the better, the more effective you are at this kind of presentation delivery, the more likely you're going to get more yeses. And the more yeses you get, not only do you get your way, but you get a career that's built on accomplishment. Because you don't accomplish anything if you give that bad presentation and everyone says, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's not good for your career. So getting good at this is absolutely a fundamental.
Yep. What are some of the things that you keep in mind as you're sitting in front of a blank computer screen getting ready to put together a killer keynote presentation?
Well, I always try and take all the information I know about this subject matter and just shove it aside and stop and think about what is it that I'm trying to accomplish. You know, all good strategy, including a presentation strategy, is a destination, is the path between the desired state and the present state.
Yep.
I always think about, where is this client now? Where is this audience now? Where do I need to get them to in an hour and a half from now?
Yep.
And the more clear I am about that destination, the more I can build the strategic story, the path, so that it leads there. And I really think all presentations are building a ladder that goes to only one destination. When you get to the top of the ladder, and when you take your audience to the top of the ladder, They should be in exactly the same place as you are, ready to move forward.
Yeah, and it should be obvious.
Yes.
Of course, this is the answer, right?
Absolutely. I always want, when I'm presenting a strategy to the client, I want the client to be thinking before I've revealed the strategy, you know what I would do in this circumstance? I would do this. And then I flip the slide and say, now here's what I think we ought to do. And they're like, that's what I thought.
Right. It's this.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
That's because you made a good case.
Your point about sitting in front of that blank slide and first thinking, what am I here to do? Who am I talking to? Where's their mindset right now, and where do I need to take them, and how do I get them there? You wouldn't start an ad campaign without writing a creative brief, right?
Right.
Why would you sit down and write an important, persuasive presentation without thinking through the same kind of strategic steps that you would if you were to hand a creative brief to a creative team, right?
Yes.
Who are we talking to? What do we know about them? Where are they now? Where do we want them to go? What do I have to say to get them there, right? What facts do I need to present? What logic do I need to show? And show it, right? This is an exercise in persuasion, not reportage. And that's one of the problems that I see in bad presentations.
That's right. It's reporting a lot of information. It's not really enlightening you.
Right, right. I've gone through so many presentations in my life where people have said, well, we want to show that data to prove that we've done the work, we've done our homework. They don't give a damn about that, right? The people who are in your audience want to know that you've done your homework. It's not that they don't give a damn about it, but don't put data on a slide just to prove you've done your homework. If that data doesn't connect to where you want to take somebody, don't show it.
Right. There's a lot of, in the process of researching any subject, there's a lot of superfluous information that you gather. Some of it is important, but it's not necessarily important to the objective that you're presenting on.
Right.
And it's hard for some people to let that go. Well, we worked really hard on that. I get it. I know there's 25 questions on that survey, but only 4 of them actually informed the strategy that we're presenting.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to have to get rid of the rest, put it in the appendices, get rid of the rest, because what you're focusing on is saying, here's what we learned that matters, and here's what we learned that helped us solve the problem that you've put in front of us.
Yep. Okay, so think strategically about your presentation before you start tapping out slides, right? Who are these people? Where do you need to take them? What's your point? Think of it as an exercise in persuasion, not an exercise in reportage.
Yeah.
Show the information that they need to be taken to the top of that ladder.
That's right.
What else?
Well, I think when you're doing that, you then want to simplify your points. Once you understand what the key points are, boil it down, distill it down. I always use the rule of one hand. If you've got more sub-points to your story than can fit on fingers of the hand, it's too many. What you want to say is, we learned these 4 key things. This, 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 and this, and that leads us to where we're going. It's not because it has to be 5 or less, it's because it has to be simple enough so that it is a clear path forward. And one of the challenges that organizations have is that they have a ton of information. They're not looking for more. They have a very hard time sometimes distilling that down to what's important.
Yep.
If you're showing too much, you haven't done your work. And they should throw you out, because your work is to distill it down to what's important.
Yeah, that's right. McKinsey calls these focusing facts. And they have a really interesting philosophy on this, which I think makes a ton of sense, which is that every problem can be boiled down into 3 or 4 facts that, when taken together, will point you in a strategic direction to solving that problem.
Yes.
And get rid of everything else. So what are your focusing facts? What are the 3 or 4 things you know that can point you to the top of that ladder?
Exactly. Then once you have them, they need to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
You know, anyone watching this from Brand Federation who was in a meeting with me last week knows that we got to one slide and I said, I'm sorry, I have no idea what this means. Like
I see words.
It's
I don't
words.
know what they mean.
I don't get it. And
Right.
if I don't get it, they won't get it. So now, it's not that the words were unimportant, that somebody hadn't worked hard on them, that the person working on them wasn't intelligent and well informed. It's that they were too complex and not clear enough.
Yeah.
And we really do need to be clear in our communications. We see this everywhere. It's not just in our presentation. Have you ever seen a political candidate make a very unclear presentation? We all have.
Yep. Yep.
Great ones can say the same thing. They can communicate the same issues, but they can do it with such clarity that we understand why this is important.
Yeah, that's right. To me, unclear thinking should be a giant red flag because it's communicated in unclear writing. If you can't write clearly, you're not thinking clearly. Strip away the jargon, say what you mean. Make it actionable, make it clear, make it concise, make it simple. And use language as part of the way to capture the attention of your audience, right? If you're resting on jargon and word salads, it's because you're not sure what you're saying either.
Yes.
And I'm suspicious of it.
It's interesting because one of the great writing teachers that I worked with in my education told me once I was struggling with writer's block, and they said, well, the problem that you have is you think you're supposed to be writing with a pen. And the act of writing is the act of thinking deeply, clearly, critically, and with understanding about a subject. And then once you fully understand it, you pick up the pen. Only when you can't not pick up the pen because you're bursting ready to put this on paper.
Yep.
Sitting in front of a piece of paper with a pen isn't going to get you anywhere.
Yep.
Sitting in front of a stack of data and highlights and post-it notes and trying to get that to answer the question also doesn't work. You need to put that data in your head, and in most cases, by the time you've gathered it, it's already there. And you need to walk away from it and stop and say, what have I learned that's important? What do I think these guys need to do with the situation they challenged us with? Just back it all out and think. And your presentation, I'm sorry, it'll never be good if you haven't done the act of deep thinking. And in our world, that's not easy, right? There are too many distractions, but that's what you need to do to get to that great writing.
Yeah, that's right. So PowerPoint's like fire, right? If you use it right, it'll make your life better. And if you abuse it or use it wrong, it'll burn your house down. So let's use PowerPoint and Keynote like fire. Know your audience, think strategically about your message. Don't rest on jargon and big fancy words. Do the deep thought before you sit down and write the presentation, and take them to the top of the ladder in a way that's concise and compelling and exciting. And amazingly, you will stand apart from 99% of the crap PowerPoint presentations that populate business right now.
You absolutely will. And another thing comes out of that. When you've done that, you're presenting with confidence because you know you got it. You know, if you can walk into that presentation and say, I can't wait to present this because I know I've got it, it boosts your confidence. It boosts the ability to which others believe you. If you fall in love with that work first, then it's easier to get other people to fall in love with that work.
That's great. We'll be following up with a deck on this topic. No, we won't.
200-page PowerPoint. Yeah, I think so.
No, we won't. All right, Kelly, so saw an interesting article in the New York Times this week that I think has implications certainly for business and management, but maybe for brands too. We both have experience as managers running companies.
Yep.
And this article was about a phenomenon called quiet quitting.
I read that article.
You heard about this?
Yeah.
Right? And it's the idea that the mindset toward work has changed to the point where more and more people who are working are not buying into this idea that it's just all about who stays later and who puts in more hours. They're saying, I have a job description and I'm going to fulfill it. And when I do, see you later, I'm going to go live my life.
Oh my God, that's
Not
terrible.
a concept, right?
People are going to have a life outside of work.
That.
No, oh my God. You know, I saw the article and I was kind of amused by it because it raises the alarms that we should be concerned that people are doing their job and then going home.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, I've got news for you businesses. Our people, our workers, they have lives. They have families, they have hobbies, they have aspirations that aren't all bottled up in their aspirations for work. And as a manager, I don't know if you've seen this, Matt, but I've never seen a correlation between those people who martyred themselves to the job, tried to always work later, always be in the office last, always get there first. I never saw a correlation between those individuals and the individuals that were most valuable to my company.
Yeah, I think there's a steep decline in value and productivity that happens past a certain point with everybody who works. And I used to find it with myself, where if I was staying at work late past 8 or 9 o'clock, I wasn't any good. Like, my brain's not working, I'm tired, I'm not engaged, I'm worried about what I'm missing at home, right?
Yes.
We used to talk about, wanting to bring your whole self to work. Unfortunately, what that meant 10 years ago was we want to bring your entire life into work and own everything about it. So we're going to have daycare here, and we're going to bring in food, and you know what? You're never going to leave the office.
Yes.
And it's going to be great.
There are some very well-known national companies who still do that.
Yeah, and I think people are finally standing up and kind of calling bullshit on that.
Yeah.
And saying, I will bring myself to work to do the job you're paying me to do, and then myself is going to leave, and I'm going to go live my life. And more power to them.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what happens, the benefit of having that fully rounded person, especially in a field where, and I think in most fields are this way, where you have to have an understanding of popular culture and empathy for the customer. You have to be in tune with world events, with local events. The benefit of having that person who goes home when it's time to go home after a good day's work is that they are connecting to the outside world more.
Yeah, it's very true.
And so they've got more to bring back to you.
Yep.
They also have a lot less stress because, if you have loved ones outside of the office, and we all do, whether you have a family or whether they're friends, when you are not accessible to them, when you're not connected to the people that you love, they're starting to feel it.
Yeah, for sure.
And almost every movie that you see that has kids in it has some dad that missed the school play, right?
Yeah.
Some jerk who doesn't get to the school play, isn't there for the kid's birthday, doesn't go to the baseball game, and they're a mess. We don't want our people to be that person.
No.
We want them to feel like they are in true balance, and the work that they're doing with their family, the things that they're doing in the community as a volunteer, those are important things. They bring us more when they have a full life outside.
Yeah, that's right. So they're better for us. The other thing I've seen, and you probably have too, is that when you slide into a place where your people are just being worked too hard, they actually get resentful toward you because they know you're stealing from their lives. And resentful people don't do good work, and they are poisonous to your culture.
Well,
and
that's a great
you
point.
made them that way. They didn't become that way without you. That's your fault if you work them that way. It's just not a productive way to manage people or run a company.
Yeah. So how do you prevent that? I mean, some businesses have ebbs and flows. Sometimes they get really busy.
But
What's the recipe for the leader?
There are going to be times, and I love to sit down with people who work with me to say, look, there are going to be times when I'm going to ask more of you on this new business pitch or on this project. You might have to work a weekend. It's part and parcel of the job. But if you want to leave early to go to your daughter's dance recital, go. Don't ask permission, just manage your work. You're a grown-up. I want to treat you like a grown-up. We have a value exchange going on between you and me. I expect your best work. I expect you to live up to the commitments that we make as a company on the behalf of our clients and on the behalf of the company. Help me do that. And what you should expect from me is a productive, supportive, safe work environment that allows you to have the best life you can have. If we do that, we're going to be fine.
I love that. Simple rules to live by. So yeah, if you want to check out from working 80 hours a week, do it. And if your company can't live with that, come talk to us because you got some problems.
Yeah, and don't quit quietly if that's the case.
Yeah.
Quit loudly.
Quit loudly.
All right, we're back with Scott Roth, founder of Three Notch, and you probably noticed, Scott, that the beer level is lower than
going
it
down
was when you were here before.
It's good.
Which is a good sign. It's
Yeah.
a very, very good sign. So, place is amazing. The beer is fantastic. Tell us the story of Three Notch. Where did you all come from? How'd you get here?
Yeah. So we're almost at 10 years. Next year's 10-year anniversary. We started in Charlottesville, original location, and the original Three Notch Road is the downtown walking mall in Charlottesville. If you've ever been there, that is the actual Three Notch Road.
I didn't know that.
And the trail ran below Richmond, 3 Chop down here, through Charlottesville, out over the mountain, and it was an old colonial thoroughfare that was blazed with 3 axe notches in the tree, so you knew you were on the right path.
That's cool.
And as we were searching for a name that really grounded us in Virginia, we really, quite honestly, started with Virginia history and the story of Jack Jewett. And I was going to give you 40 Mile, but because of the medal, I had to go King of Clouds. But 40 Mile is after Jack Jewett's 40-mile ride to warn Thomas Jefferson of the British coming after Benedict Arnold defected. And so we rooted a lot of our original branding in the theme of leave your mark. So who were people, places, things in history that left their mark? But as the brand has evolved, we've just stuck with the tagline, leave your mark, and we've kind of started to leave the history behind. Now we're getting into how do you leave your own mark in your communities? We do collaboration work all the time with nonprofits. We focus on things like Biggie S'mores, which certainly was not Virginia history, but Biggie definitely left his mark. So that's kind of where the brand is evolving and how we kind of keep taking it forward into the future.
That is really cool.
And you know, when I think about it, there's a pretty good brewery community here, but everyone has their own niche. When you think about your brand, how does it stand out? What's different between what you've got going on here and everywhere else?
Yeah, so I'm from the restaurant side, and I saw the breweries starting to sort of blow up in Virginia before we started Three Notched. And one of the things we really wanted to do was own the whole process ourselves. So up until the end of last year, we actually had our own distribution company that our wives owned, my wife and my partner George's wife. And we ran distribution for our brand all across the state, with the exception of in 2018, we partnered with Blue Ridge Beverage, which handles the central and southwest portion. So that was unique, certainly at the time. And then also opening these multiple retail outlets. So we're standing in number 3, but we just expanded, so I'm calling this number 5. We've got number 6 coming out the old former Wild Wolf property on 151.
Okay.
And what we like to do at each of those is collaborate. So this is a collab house. We have a brewer at every location. We bring in nonprofits, home brewers, restaurants, for-profits, and then we let them tell their story through beer and how they're leaving their mark.
That is awesome.
That's
so
incredible.
You just had a big expansion here too.
Yeah.
In Richmond. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this place is 6 years old now. And was, I'm not going to say just the tasting room, but as the tasting room model has started to evolve across the state, we're finding that people really want to be able to bring their families in and have something for everyone. We have 3 other brew pubs, Charlottesville, Roanoke, and Virginia Beach, which is relatively new for us. And we had the opportunity to take down the former wine station space and a kitchen behind us. So we've taken both of those spaces and have a full service menu, bar, and we're actually adding a bourbon component. Right now we're serving other people's bourbon, but we will have Three Notch bourbon next year.
That's amazing.
One more reason to waste time here.
Like we
I
needed
shouldn't
more
say
reasons.
waste, but like
You can call it whatever you want as long as you're sitting in the seat.
Spend time.
spend time would be
time.
better.
Best time.
That would.
Anyway. So Scott, where can we find Three Notched breweries? Where are you all?
So the current 5, Harrisonburg is still a collab house, just a tasting room model. And then we have our headquartered location in Charlottesville, downtown at the Art Park. We've got one downtown Roanoke and Virginia Beach, and of course right here in Scott's Addition in Richmond.
That is amazing. Well, the beers are awesome. The space is great. The expansion's incredible. Kelly and I were looking at the menu. Pizzas.
Yeah. It's
I
our
mean,
first
it's all
pizza,
great food.
but it's very good.
I bet it
Yeah,
is.
I love it.
That's great. Well, thanks to Scott Roth and the folks at Three Notched for having us here. This has been terrific.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Kelly, party time. This is our
Right.
first anniversary of Beer and Brand.
That is awesome.
So we did our first episode of Beer and Brands in August of last year at Vossen Brewery, and since then we have been to Final Gravity, Isley, Castleberg, Basic City, Hardywood, Vale, Star Hill, Ardent, Strange Ways, and today, Three Notch. We've had a lot of conversations about strategy, about branding and marketing and management and things going on in the world, and it's been a ton of fun.
It has been fun, and we've also tried to lean into issues related to how to build a great workforce that can do great work, how to value your people, and what's going on in the world around us that can influence brands. That's what brands are about, is channeling culture, being mindful of people, and making sure that you have empathy for what's going on in the public. I'm not sure, though, that we've answered every question that our viewers have to answer. So I'm challenging our viewers. If there's a topic you'd like to hear us talk about, a burning question that you have about branding, marketing, advertising, please take the time to put it in the comment box of wherever you ran into Beer and Brands today, and we will answer that on our very next program.
Terrific. Well, here's to a year in an upcoming year and more beer and brands.
Many more. Keep watching.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Williams. This is Kelly O'Keefe with Brand Federation, and we'll see you on the next Beer and Brands.